Hey guys, this is Leo for Actualized.org, and in this video we're doing something special. I want to introduce you to a cool guy. He's a dating advice coach in Los Angeles, California, and his name is Tripp. Say hi, Tripp.
Hi, Tripp. What's up,
So,
Leo? Thanks for having me, man.
yeah, my pleasure. We did an interview where I was on Tripp's channel. Tripp has a great dating advice for men channel on YouTube, and it's called TrippAdvice, and that's Tripp with two P's, right?
That's right.
All right. And he's also got a website, TrippAdvice.com. So if you're looking for dating advice, then check out his website, check out his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of videos there. Unlike my videos, which are 40 or 50 minutes long, his videos are really short. They're like 5 minutes each, and they go right to the point and gives you straightforward advice for men on how to date. In this video, what we're going to talk about is a little bit of the psychology of being an attractive man, and Tripp is the guy to be asking these kinds of questions. And one of the things that I have been wanting to do with Actualized.org is not only to be having my head talking, but also to have other talking heads on the channel so you can get more well-rounded advice from other people, because I have my own biases and quirks, especially when it comes to dating advice, and Tripp has his own ideas. So we're going to kind of bounce back and forth and ask him some questions to help you guys get better at dating with girls. And if you're a woman and you're watching this, one of the benefits you might get is a perspective into the male mind, because I think that most women aren't really good at understanding some of the challenges that men go through when they're struggling with dating. And it's a really big problem. I've had my own problems with it. I'm sure Tripp has had his own learning experience, and so we're going to talk about that.
Awesome.
All right, Tripp, so let's just crack into it. What's the point of learning to be better with girls?
It's an interesting question. It all comes down to what you want out of your life, right? And I'm going to assume that most heterosexual men want to be with a quality woman, right? So I think the real question is not what's the point of learning this stuff, but why does someone want to find that quality woman? And I think that a lot of guys, they don't even think it's possible. This was like something that I had to deal with years ago. I never thought it was possible to even try to get better at meeting women, right? So I think the first thing is that you have to know that it is possible. And it's crazy because, again, I mean, this is like maybe 10, 15 years ago. There was no a lot of information that you could find, or at least know to find, about how to get better with women, right? That was one of the things that was like really difficult to understand, that you could get better unless you maybe heard from a friend. But as you know, guys don't really talk to each other about like, hey, dude, I found this like cool thing on like how to get better with girls, and they teach you all this stuff about talking and confidence and things like that. But I think it's really, really key that, guys do learn this stuff so that they can have the best quality woman that they can. Because a lot of guys end up settling. And I personally think that the divorce rate, it's like 50, maybe even 60% right now in the United States. And I think that that exists because guys don't take the time to learn this stuff, which has them settling for a woman that they don't truly want, because they don't believe that they can get better quality women. And then, of course, that just ends in a divorce, right? Or maybe not. Maybe it just ends in a really terrible life, and you're stuck with this woman who you don't really want. It's not a good match for you. It's not the kind of person that's good for you and the person that you really want. And then it just, again, you lead this really miserable life. So why guys should be learning this is so that they can finally attract the woman that they have been desiring, right? And I say this to the guys not in the form of, do everything in your power to get that one girl who you've been pining after. That's a little bit different. But really watch a lot of videos on my channel and Leo's channel to learn how to become a better man and become a better communicator and understand attraction. And by doing that, you will start to see results and finding the types of women that you really want, right? So, I mean, that's what I think about that.
Yeah, and for me in my own journey, what I've discovered is that it's just, as a man, learn to get better with women, there's something deeper about it than just getting a girl. It's also about, like you said, becoming a man, becoming stronger, becoming more confident. And that's not just for the girl's sake. That's also just for your sake. It's satisfying to do that. And I think it translates and spills over into other areas of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a cool thing. When I started to learn this stuff, I was only in it for the women, which most guys are, right? That's why they're learning it, so they can get, whatever they want in terms of a relationship or a girl, one night stand, whatever it is. But then you end up becoming this stronger person because that's what women are truly attracted to. And you become this guy who's all of a sudden really good at public speaking and really good with communicating with employees or your boss or your family. You understand how to connect better with people because a lot of the stuff that you learn in terms of meeting a woman totally crosses over to all these other areas of your life. So it's a really powerful training all in itself.
Okay, awesome. Tell me a little bit more about this gimmicky stuff, because you said gimmicks, and sometimes there's this reputation about dating advice from men is that it's gimmicky and it's all about being fake and tricking the girl into sleeping with you. And so the girls don't like it because it seems like manipulation, but also guys then don't want to listen to it because they feel like, well, like that's not very a mature way to go about dating. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, actually, I really like that you said that, a mature way about going at dating. I never really thought about that. That's kind of what I'm always trying to preach. It's really a mature way of going about it because the opposite, immature, is like, yeah, these manipulation techniques and tactics and trickery, which, by the way, I mean, I always say, I talk about tricks and techniques on my videos, but it's different. It's not about tricking the woman. It's about a little trick that can help you become a better person to attract the woman. But yeah, I mean, in terms of that, I compare it to two things, right? All the gimmicky stuff or the pickup material, that's like eating, when you're really hungry and there's this delicious, unhealthy cupcake in front of you, okay? It's eating that versus maybe next to it is a really healthy protein shake with good nutrients and vitamins and a banana, which, yeah, it tastes good, but maybe it's not as good as the cupcake, let's be honest. And the analogy here is the cupcake will satisfy your desires and make you feel really amazing. And it will do what it needs to be done. But in the long run, what happens when you eat a bunch of cupcakes? You end up feeling sick, you end up low on energy, your blood sugar raises, all these bad things in the long run. And when you drink the protein shake, which sort of satisfies the same exact craving, but it's a little bit different, a little healthier for you and builds your body and your immune system for the long run, that's like learning more natural techniques. So, and the reason why that is because when you start to learn the pickup stuff, that quick kind of gimmicky manipulation, easy to lie to girls, easy to kind of make up stories. It's so easy. Just memorize a fake story, tell a girl. It has nothing to do about you, but it will attract the girl. Yes, you'll get that satisfaction in the beginning because you get to sleep with the girl or you get to get the number or it feels really good, right? But in the long run, here's what ends up happening. You end up coming to this point where you've lost yourself. There's a disconnect between what is you and the stuff that you're spitting. And inevitably, there becomes this crash and burn because you start to realize, and I'll spoil it for you, for the guys who just want to go to that route first, I'll spoil it for you right now. What happens is you start to become more lonely, more scared, less confident, because you're realizing that all these girls that have become attracted to you are not really attracted to you. They're attracted to this other made-up version of yourself. And so while it's great in the beginning because you're getting these quick results, in the long run, it starts to become old. And I'll tell you right now, it feels so much better to just build yourself into a confident person and a better person in general so women can become attracted to you. Yeah, it's a little harder, takes a little longer, not by much, but that's going to be the way that you're going to feel better in the long run, and you're never going to have a crash and burn because you're going to feel good that you're doing, or I should say you're building yourself in order to attract these women. So that's kind of how I see the difference between those two.
Yeah, I love the long-term thinking approach. That's definitely what I try to do with every area of my life that I'm trying to master, is take the long-term perspective on it. So that's definitely smart. I've also found that the guys who are the best, even though they started off perhaps on routines or tricks and it wasn't authentic at first. Ultimately, what they ended up doing is they kind of consolidated all that stuff. They took the stuff that really worked, that was natural to them. They integrated that part like really firmly into their personality, and they became so authentic with the way they act. So it's not about being fake. It's just that sometimes the routines and tricks, they help you to get started, like training wheels, and then you throw those away, and then you do, the real kind of authentic type of stuff. And that's what attracts women. Women are attracted to situations where you can be really authentic.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I was the same way. I learned a lot of that stuff too in the beginning. I just didn't get too far with it personally because I already felt the disconnect just because I'm like very intuitive and I'm just like, whoa, this isn't working. So I had to kind of find out other stuff. So what I tell guys is, there's ways to use some of those little tricks and techniques or those routines and be able to actually create your own, that it has to do with you. It's just basically about being able to create your own stories. Again, it takes a little bit longer because it's different than just reading a little routine, right? You'd have to sit down and really think about it and understand what are the attraction triggers that you want to hit in a woman that make her attracted to you, and what in your life can you apply to that and create a story out of it. So I always tell guys, let's take some of the concepts and the ideas behind maybe some of the pickup material and you read out there, right? The core concepts of what it is that's attracting the woman, and then blend in your life and your stories into those concepts. And that's kind of what I'm trying to push out,
Beautiful. Yeah, I love it. So then let's move on to the $1,000,000 question, which is what actually matters, what actually makes an attractive man. Guys are always asking me, and this is something that was always on the top of my mind, which really screwed with my mind, is do looks matter? Am I good looking enough to do it? You said you can get any girl, but can I get a girl if I'm looking the way that I am? Do muscles matter? Does my height matter? Does my money situation matter? What about my nationality? What about size? What matters in all this stuff?
Okay, cool. I want to hit on like all those because those are all like amazing points. Okay, so first, really quickly, what stuck out, nationality. I'll say right now, nationality does not matter. Yes, it will be easier if you're white to attract a white girl, and if you're Asian to attract an Asian girl, and if you're black to attract a black girl, and so on and so on. But cross nationality, you can attract. I know plenty of women who are attracted to different types of nationalities from their own. So that doesn't really matter. Money, I'll be honest, it helps. Obviously, if you have a lot of money, it helps because it's telling the girl, what the attraction trigger that it's hitting is it's telling the girl that you're successful and that you're passionate and that you've done well for yourself and you're hard working. Those are very dominant alpha male traits that women are attracted to. But here's the cool part. It's not necessary. You don't need $1,000,000 in the bank account to attract women. It's not like that is the thing that if you don't have it, well, then you're screwed. Not at all. So it helps, but there are plenty of ways that you can attract a woman by letting her know your passions and letting her know that you're happy with your life and you do these great things in your life that are motivational and always growing and all these things that are great about you that show success rather than being it in terms of what the dollar is in your bank account. But at the end of the day, the cool thing is, and I know, Leo, you talk about this a lot, is that if you do work on yourself and do work on loving what you do and finding your passion, which you hit all the time, one of the great side effects is making a lot of money. So it kind of works hand in hand there. And then in terms of looks do matter to an extent. Okay, so when it comes to looks, it's not like, well, if you don't look like Brad Pitt, you can't get that 10, okay? Yes, if you do look like Brad Pitt, of course that is going to help, let's just be honest. But it's not necessary. But in terms of looks, you do need to have what I call style, or really just a fashion sense, right? So you need to do the things that you need to do to become your most physically attractive self. So that is in terms of grooming, that's in terms of wearing the things that look the best on you. That's different for everybody. Usually it's fitted type clothing. But you need to really study fashion and study style so you can look your absolute best. And at that point, you've kind of, in a good way, you've maxed out at that capacity of being your most attractive self, because that's just going to help you in the end. But even so, I know plenty of guys who don't do any of that stuff and still get the girl, because it's only a part of it. But I say to the guys, like, work on the fashion or work on the style, because it's kind of an easy part that will just help. You know what I mean? Like, why not make it easier and whatever, just get a new wardrobe or shave the scraggly beard, whatever it is. No, see, yours is well, hold on. Go like this. You got a little stubble there? No, you're fine.
A little bit.
So you have a well-groomed goatee, which is fine. But if you had, I see guys, they can't really grow a beard, and it's like kind of there, and it's just like, if you just shaved it, you would look 10 times better, and it would just be so much easier for you to like go and approach a woman, and the rejection rate would just lower, So it's like things like that.
Yeah, so all good points. I mean, what I found in my own journey, which totally blew my mind, is that, yes, the money, like women just aren't really that attracted to money. I find it's like an average girl, she's not going to like require you to have tons of money. And as far as nationality, I've had some of the like weirdest friends that are like different nationalities, from like Indian to Pakistani to black to everything else. And like they do amazing. They do way better than I do. Some of the best guys I know are short. Like they're super short. Like not even average short, but like 5'4". One of the best guys I know is so short. He looks like a little midget. But like he's ridiculously good. He's way better than me. Like I'm floored to watch him just do his work. Girls love him. And as far as like the looks, like one of the things that really blew my mind is when I started to get into pickup and I started to go out there and actually hit on lots of girls. Like it always blew my mind that it was very random. Like sometimes an ugly girl will reject you. Sometimes a hot girl will reject you. But then sometimes a hot girl will love you better than an ugly girl will. And like it's just for any random reason. Like they just love you for your personality. They just happen to be down that night or whatever. And I found that I've been able to attract virtually like any hotness of a girl that I want, as long as I work hard on myself and as long as I actually go out there and talk to lots of girls. That's possible.
Yeah, exactly. I say like I had to really come down to a concise, I guess, version of what a guy needs to work on in order to be your most attractive self to a woman. I'll be speaking in broad terms here, but I mean, a lot of the stuff you can just find on my channel, but really it's about how you carry yourself and how you talk to women. It's just about the words that are coming out of your mouth and in your body language, and how you walk over to her and how you look at her and the way that you touch her, right? And then the things that you say, the stories that you tell, the excitement and the energy coming from your voice and how you're talking to them. It's like those things, if you could just master those or just practice those as much as you can, that's going to already just supersede. Is that a word? Supersede?
It is a word.
Okay, good. It's going to supersede the looks, money, nationality, and all that other stuff.
Yeah, that's what I tend to find myself. Okay, so next question. What is it that men need to understand about how women think that they don't currently understand? So I find that there's like a gulf between how men think and how women think. That's how I think about it in my mind. Like our psychologies are different. And so I find that when I started on my journey, I didn't really understand how women thought. I thought that women thought like men think. And then I was shocked to learn that that's not the case. So in your experience, tell me a little bit more about what you see as the gulf there.
Like what women are thinking?
Yeah. What is it that men need to understand about women in order to attract them better?
Yeah. Well, I think men need to understand that, I mean, this is going to some David Data stuff, which I know you're a big fan of as well. You really have to understand about the polarities. And this blew my mind when I read about this, from the way the superior man, right? The polarities. And because that's what's going to create attraction, right? So if you understand basically the feminine essence and the masculine essence and what both of those mean, right? You understand that for a woman and that for a man, then you can really start to understand what pulls those two together, right? So, I'd say in answering it quick, in terms of a female, she's looking for a man that is in control of his life and kind of like, in like 21st century terms, like has his act together, right? And has purpose, which again, Leo, you talk about all the time, which is just amazing, right? About finding your purpose and having purpose in this world. And again, you can have no purpose and you can probably find a girl and still attract a girl, but you might not attract that girl that you're super attracted to and like, or one that's really quality. But a woman almost wants that, and she wants to feel also. And I'm trying to be light here with my words because I can imagine a lot of women being like, "No, what are you talking about?" But like a woman wants to be dominated in a sense, but there's a fine line between that. It's not like she wants to be told what to do and she wants to be a slave, unless you're into some kinky stuff. But that's a whole thing too. That's why sometimes people are into that, because that's massive polarity, right? But in terms of like evolution, right? A woman, her role for a long time was, the gatherer and be taking care of like the household. I'm not saying that's how it is now, but that's how it was for a long time. And a man was going out and he was hunting, right? So, that's how it kind of started. And that's how like attraction started. Those were the alpha male qualities. Those were the female qualities. And that's the thing too. I know a lot of men are attracted to women who are super feminine. And one example of that is like when you're in a relationship or when you're dating. I know a lot of guys, including myself, I like it when a woman asks me to take care of something, to fix change the light bulb, to fix this, to help build this. It makes you feel masculine. And then actually because you feel the masculinity, you feel attracted to her, right? And the fact that you're able to maybe do that request or do something like that, that makes her feel attracted to you, that you can do that, right? That you can conquer that little task, right? So I think basically to sum it up, women are attracted to men who can take control, who can make decisions, and bring a sense of like just ultra confidence to all the little and big situations that life has to bring.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. I think it's very important to be grounded as a man, and then to allow the woman to basically partake in that, because they're emotional creatures and they're kind of up and down and up and down. They like the man to be the one that grounds them and kind of stabilizes them. That makes them feel good, and that also makes the man feel good. So you've got this kind of yin-yang relationship going.
Yeah. I'll say one thing. I remember there's this one part, and I actually use this in my own relationships. There's this one part of the book, In the Way of the Superior Man, that shows this really well, what you just said, is that like a woman might be like, super emotional at a point for whatever reason. Maybe she's upset of something. Maybe she's mad at the guy for something. And one of the best things you could do as a man in that situation, instead of like trying to like out-logic her or explain to her why she should feel better or why she shouldn't be mad, you just go over to her and give her a big hug and just like pull her in. And then I think it was something like saying like, "I love you," or like, "Don't worry," or like, "It's going to be okay." You know what I mean? And just like pulling her in and just saying, "Stop." And just like having her just be like in your arms in this tight squeeze. And I was like, whoa, like that's so intense. And it works.
Yeah, that stuff is great. Like a lot of the problems with women, like you don't want to try to talk them out of it. Like that's the worst thing you can do, is to reject a woman's emotions and to tell her to like stop being emotional, because that's what she loves to do. She actually likes that. And she hates it when you don't validate her feelings. So a lot of times you can just kind of skirt that issue by doing something physical, like what you just said.
Right. Exactly. And that brings in a lot of elements that I was just talking about dominance and control and things like that.
Yeah, I found that I had to like reprogram my mind to like do stuff like that, or also like using humor in very like strategic ways. like when some serious issue comes up or something like that, like being able to reframe the situation, being able to like ask a different question, like have the woman switch her perspective or just like focus on something else. A lot of times like that will solve some of those relationship problems, because as guys, a lot of times we tend to want to like be logical about it and solve it in a logical way. And women hate that when we try to do that with them.
Yeah, yeah. There's times when women want actual advice and they do want logical steps. Like, hey, Leo, what can I do right now to fix this issue at work or whatever? And sometimes they just want to be listened to. And I find as myself, I'm not super like that like a woman, but there is sometimes a part of me, maybe like 20% of the time, I don't really want an answer. I kind of just want to talk it out. I just want to just release the emotions. A woman, on the other hand, usually they're the opposite, right? They just kind of want to talk it out, talk the emotions out. They just want someone to listen and be there and understand and empathize and sympathize, right? So that's kind of one of the things that you should be doing. Like, you should actually, one tip is like, you can ask the girl like, hey, like, did you want some advice on this, or do you want me to just kind of listen and hear what's going on? And I'm here for both. So what would you like? And then they can tell you, and then you can just kind of be there. Or maybe they'll be so emotional that they might not be able to answer that question. And just listen. That's probably the best bet. Just listen.
Yeah, it's always a good idea to just assume to listen.
And then at the end of it, say like, is there anything I can help you with this? Is there anything I can help you do with this? And then that will kind of be the answer. Like, they'll be like, no, like, I just wanted to talk to you about it. Or they'll be like, yeah, what can I do? And then you'll be like, all right, time to put the logical hat on and help the girl in whatever situation it is.
Okay, awesome. Let's move on. Do you think it's easier, you talked about being a man and how situations were a long time ago, the hunter-gatherer situation. What about how society has really changed in the last, let's say, 50 or 70 years, especially with women, getting a lot more of their own rights, their own lives together. Now every woman is pretty much independent. So is it harder or easier today to be a man, do you think, than it was like 70 or 50 years ago?
Well, I guess it's all relative, but I think that it's easier now. I mean, like, I'd rather be in the now than be in, like, 50, 60 years ago, or like in the 1940s, 1950s. I'd rather be a man now. And of course, I know that sounds a little biased because I am. But hey, I mean, in terms of this, I'd rather be in the now. In terms of music, I'd rather be in the 1940s, 1950s. Like, hands down. That's just me. But in terms of this stuff, I think it's easier for men. Even though, like, I know there's this argument like women are becoming more independent and it's harder because we're losing the vision of, how a man is supposed to be with being chivalrous versus like, oh, we should open the door for them, but we shouldn't because they can do it themselves and all this. And I know that there's a lot of blurred lines there. But I think nowadays it's better and easier because, one, we have the capabilities to get so much more information, like a YouTube video, right, or whatever it is, to be able to learn how to attract better quality women. When like 50, 60 years ago, it was kind of like your dad taught you, maybe you learned a trick from a friend, and that was pretty much it. And you do the best you could do, right? And again, it's all relative. Back then, it was probably just like whatever to them because they didn't realize that 70 years later, the internet would exist and you can get better at something like this. But another thing is this, I was thinking about when you said, women are more independent these days. I know a lot of men, including myself, that are attracted to women who are more independent. It's actually more of an attractive quality, as long as that woman still has a lot of feminine qualities and can still have that feminine essence, and not be so in control of everything and take away from the man, because the man will then not be as attracted to the woman. But I and I know a lot of men who like women who are independent. They can do things on their own. They're not always relying on other people, or they're really passionate about what they do. A lot of that stuff is very attractive.
Yeah, I agree with you. I love that stuff too. I think that's definitely a plus for women to be doing that and still trying to balance it out, like you said, with that feminine energy. Good. One of the things that a lot of guys that I see when they start off getting better with women is that when they start that journey, they're just so needy to begin with. And nothing is less attractive to a woman than a needy guy who just wants that sex or wants that relationship. Like, I know when I started, all I wanted was just like a girlfriend, a relationship. But like everything I did then subcommunicated that neediness that I had. So if a guy is needy and he's listening to this right now, how does he go about curing that kind of thing?
Okay. First of all, I'll quickly explain why neediness is unattractive. And it's basically everything we've been talking about. When you're needy, you lack control. Right? When you're needy, that means that you're relying on outside forces to please you and to get you happy or get you more in control, which you won't ever be, because it'll be a cycle of neediness, right? And so neediness, showing that you're not in control, is just one less very important alpha male quality that you need to attract women, right? A man who's in control, he doesn't need anything. Of course, you need the very basics: food, shelter, whatever, water. But beyond that, you should have everything that you need, because otherwise you're just going into a downward spiral of having to seek validation and anyways, I'm kind of going out into a whole tangent here, but at the end of the day, it's showing that you don't have your life together because you need other things. That's not you, when you should be okay with what you have in the moment. So that's why neediness doesn't really work. So knowing that and understanding that, what you can do to not be needy is to, there's some practical things. As meditation is one of the biggest things, right? So we stress out and we're really worried and anxious all the time about all the little things in our life, right? All the time. And meditation actually starts to center you and help you focus on the present. And again, coming back to that idea that what you have in front of you is all you need. And this is it, right? Right now, unless you're like literally in a torture prison, what's better than the moment right in front of you? As long as you're under a roof, you've just had a meal and a glass of water, right? So that's one of the ways to get rid of your neediness, knowing that everything you have is actually right in front of you and inside of you right now.
That's brilliant. But one of the things that when I started off is just like, yes, you have all those things, but a guy, for example, who doesn't have a girlfriend, he's going to feel like, well, but I need that, right? I need that. And the reason that you can say that, oh, I'm just sitting here comfortably, is because you've got girlfriends or you've already had a bunch of sex and you're already good with girls. And so because of that, you feel like you're fulfilled. But what do you do when you're kind of like desperate for a girl? You haven't had sex in a couple of years or something like that. And it's just like this, like you need it. Because honestly, you do need it right there, right?
Right. And it's a catch-22, right? Because the more you need it, the more you're going to try to get it so hard, and then you won't get it because you're showing your neediness. So here's what it comes down to. I call it faith in the process, okay? Faith and belief in the process that you're going through right now to become better with women. So of course, hands down, you need to take the steps and do the actions to get better with women, right? Don't just be a running around needy, bumbling fool, but work on yourself and work on all these attraction techniques. And through that, you're going to be like, okay, I want the results now. I want the results now. Like, I'm needy. Like, I just want the sex. You need to take a step back. And may I just remind you right now that this is a process that's going to take some time. But have faith and belief that with enough work, the results will come. But the second you stop trying and stop learning and stop trying to be a better, more attractive man, it's never going to come. So you have to be patient. You have to be patient and let the process take hold and let everything fall into place as you continue to try and get better at this stuff. So if you want to, just be lazy and not go out on a Friday night, or maybe walk by a pretty girl on a random weekday and not do the approach and not try and not go after it, then at that point, you're just going to go back into the old routine of wanting it, but never getting it because you're not doing anything and not having faith in the process. So it's really an act of patience. Again, going back to the whole meditation thing, that brings it in. It's about being okay with what's happening right now, but also working at it, because obviously if you don't work at it, then you will never get anywhere. And I'll tell you, I went through the exact same thing. I had to be very, very patient for a long time. But I saw that the more work I put into it, the faster I got the results. So just focus on the actions that you need to take and less on the outcome.
Yeah, so that's a beautiful thing is, yeah, focusing on process. And this applies not only to your improvement in dating and with women, but if you're starting a business or with your career or anything else in life that you really want to achieve that's worthwhile, especially if you're struggling in that area right now, you're going to have to expect that you're going to have to put in some time and some energy into it and some money maybe even before you finally get the ultimate results that you want. And you just, like you said, you have to have that faith in the process. Okay, great. And so finally, let's wrap up with how do you actually get started on this stuff? Because let's say that I'm a guy right now and I'm really not good with women. I'm really upset with how good I am. I don't think that I'm capable of becoming good. But maybe in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, maybe it's possible. But what would I need to do? What are the top 3 actions that a guy needs to take to start to get better with girls?
This is a great question. I'm going to give you very specific things that you could do right now. And they're very specific. I'm not going to give you some broad things like work on your confidence, learn how to talk to girls. I'm just going to give you the 3 things that you should do right now that will hands down get you better at meeting women, okay? In no specific order, no importance, just all 3, all equally important. 1, go out and get clothes that fit you. That's it. Doesn't have to be like skin tight, just get clothes that fit you. Just do that one thing, and that's automatically going to make you look more attractive. Okay, that's number 1. Go do that. Number 2, I want you to start talking to every single person that you come across. And you might not be thinking about where these opportunities lie, but they're everywhere. I don't mean it has to be every hot girl that walks by, but I want you to get used to talking to strangers and people that you don't know. That can come in the form of talking to a taxi driver for a couple minutes and getting to know him. That can come into walking down the aisle of a grocery store and someone's looking at something. Maybe if you're not truly interested in like what they're picking up, just talk about it for a second. Just open up the conversation, finding any way possible to have more conversations. And if you're like a homebody and you never leave your house, well then the pre-step to that would be go out, leave your house, and any excuse to just get out and get around people that you could have the possibility of having an interaction with. Okay? And I'd say the third thing in terms of getting quicker results, meditation. That's the third thing. Going back to what we were talking about before, because that's going to work on the inner stuff, right? So I want you to be working on the outer stuff, like getting the more fitted clothes, talking to people, and getting used to more conversations, and then working on being able to meditate and relax. So the specific example of meditation, what I want you to do is after watching this video, get your phone, set a timer for 5 minutes. And just sit for 5 minutes, which is going to seem like an eternity when you do it. But it's not that long. It's 5 minutes out of your day. And just sit there and focus on your breathing. And every time you kind of like stray off, just go back to your breathing. And it's going to be very boring. And you're going to be like, I can't wait till this is over. But just try it out and feel that feeling after you're done. And you'll see a little bit more of a calmness. And then all 3 of those, there's more you can do. But you want to take all those to the next level. But those are the 3 biggest specific takeaways a guy can do right now to become better as a human being, really, and also become more attractive to women.
Okay, awesome, beautiful. Yeah, I love that. I love the meditation at the end, and I think the first 2 are also very practical. And I ended up doing all 3 of those when I was getting better. Of course, I did a lot of other stuff too, and we're going to be wrapping it up here. But if you guys are interested in more advice from Tripp, little tricks and techniques, he's got those. He's also got strategies for you. Check out his channel, check out his website, and you can find more there. Tripp, any closing remarks?
Let's see. Thanks for having me. And again, anyone who's watching this, the best thing you can do is instead of clicking away and just going to another YouTube video, just do one of those things that we talked about. Do one more step, take one more step closer to achieving whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. So taking action is the biggest thing. And then, yeah, if you want to find me, you can go to www.TrippAdvice.com with 2 P's. You can also check me on YouTube, TrippAdvice, youtube.com/TrippAdvice. Everything is TrippAdvice, so check that out. And more importantly, Leo, you're the man. Thank you so much for having me. I respect all of your work. I've seen so many of your videos, and you just do great stuff. So thanks again, and I was really happy to be a part of today.
All right. Good to have you on board, and talk to you next time.
All right.